Hi everyone. We will start in a couple of minutes. I think we can start. Hello again. Thank you for attending this webinar. I'm Pınar Çomak, and today we will discuss about internal and external audit process in ISO 9001, and we will talk about the importance of audit during our webinar. If you have any question, you can write from chat part, and I'm starting. As you know, CFE certification is an independent auditing company, and we have also an academy for this kind of trainings. And we have UCAS and IAS accreditation, and we are operating in many different countries. We provide gap analysis, training, and certification services in many areas, including business continuity, IT services, information security, quality management, GDPR. And we are so happy that you are attending our webinar today. As I mentioned, I'm Pınar. I am a tutor and auditor in CFE certification. And basically, I'm from Turkey, but I'm living in London for like 2.5 years. So now I'm living in the UK for a couple of years, and I'm very happy to work with CFE in this kind of activities. Our agenda is today about why is an internal audit necessary, internal audit versus external audit, internal auditors, and external audit process. We will discuss different kind of things during this webinar. And I think this will be take like 45 minutes, but I would like to remind you that at the end of this webinar, I will send you a link via chat for your certification. You need to complete 5 different questions for getting your certification about this webinar. We will be very happy if you can complete those questions and you can get your certification. Yes, let's start with ISO 9001. As many of you know, ISO 9001 is an international standard for quality management systems. Internal and external audits are fundamental elements, fundamental requirements of ISO 9001. And during the certification journey, we have to complete at least one internal audit in a year. And this means not just for one department. This means we have to cover all our process, all our departments, at least once a year. What does it mean? We will discuss it. First of all, I would like to give you a chart about internal audit versus external audit. Internal audits, we are saying internal, but totally you can free to use outsource companies for this internal audit process. If you don't have any adequate resources, if you would like to make it outsourced, that's totally fine. You can outsource this process. And while we are talking about external process, external audit, it should be completed by an independent accredited certification body company. Internal process is requirement of the standard, clause 9.2. And I will show you the clause of the standard in the next slide. And as I mentioned to you, we have to complete internal audits at least once a year for our all process, all operations, and different departments like HR, operation, purchasing, every department. And it should be recorded as evidence by the organization. While we are saying evidence, what we are talking about. This can be a checklist. This can be an internal audit report. This can be an internal audit program. Actually, you need to show this kind of evidence to your external auditor because while we are doing certification audits, we would like to see what did you do during your internal audit process. We need to see different kind of evidence. And we have to be sure that you are complying with the requirements of the standard. For example, we have to see an internal audit program and we have to be sure that you are covering all different items within your organization. Like I mentioned, different departments. And you don't have to complete all internal audits once a year, but not at the same time. You can divide into different months, different days. You can complete operation in every year, let's say January, and you can complete HR every year, February. But please don't forget, you have to cover all items for a 1 year period. And we need to see your audit reports. Do you have any non-conformity? Do you have any opportunity for improvement? Do you have any observation as a result of these internal audits? And checklists. What kind of question did you ask during your internal audit? What kind of topics did you discuss with auditees? We have to be sure that you ask questions and you got your answers and you recorded them. While we are talking about external audits, it's a little bit different. It's mandatory for certification. If you want to get certified for ISO 9001, you need to get a service from accredited certification body. And this is a 3-year period. You are starting with a certification audit. And then next year, you will continue with surveillance first audit, first surveillance. And the next year, it will be the second surveillance audit. And when you complete this 3 years period, you will get certified again, and it will be recertification audit. And in this kind of audits, certification bodies like CFE are responsible for records. We have to provide you audit program. We have to provide you audit report. We have to provide you NCR's details if we have any non-conformity or any finding. And at the end of the audit, external audit, we will be sure we are agreed with the client. We present our non-conformities, we present our observations, and we agreed on about the report, and we will complete the process. You can see clause 9.2 of ISO 9001. Now we are continue with internal audits. The organization shall conduct internal audits at planned intervals to provide information on whether the quality management system. And during the internal audit, actually, you have to conform 2 different things. One is the organization's own requirements, and the second one is the standard. So during the internal audit, and actually for the external audit as well, we are not checking just the standard, just ISO 9001. We have to check also the organization's own requirements. And it means policies, procedures, and other written documents. We have to be sure they are matching with the written documents and the real application. So we are not checking just ISO 9001. Please don't forget, we have 2 criteria. One is organization's own requirements, and the second one is standard. So In every internal audit, we have to plan, establish, implement, and maintain an audit program, including the frequency, method, responsibilities, who will be the auditor, planning requirements, and reporting. And as you can see in F, routine documented information as evidence. And this means, as I mentioned to you, audit program, audit report, checklists, if you have non-conformities record. Yes, internal audit. Actually, we can make three groups. What's the purpose of this internal audit? Ensuring compliance, continuous improvement, and risk management. What does this mean? Ensuring compliance means regular internal audits are essential for maintaining compliance with the standards requirements. We have to be sure all departments are complying with the standard, and internal audit is another requirement of the standard as well. So this ensures adherence to standard requirements and organization's own requirements, procedures. Compliance enhances customer satisfaction and strength of the organization, reputation. This process can make you ready for external audits. You can think like it's an internal process before the external one. You can feel much more ready for external certification audit because first you will check everything. Are they in place or not? So then you will be sure that you are ready for external certification audits. And let's talk about continuous improvement. Internal audits are a key component of continuous improvement. As you know, continuous improvement is a part of the standard as well. Clause 10 is improvement and clause 10.3 is about continuous improvement. So if we have a management system, a quality management system in place, we have to be sure there's an improvement in place as well. Identifying different unconformities, identifying improvement opportunities while evaluating current process and operations. And internal audits encourage organizations to review their quality management system. And it's another way to continual improvement, another way of continual improvement. So these internal audits are a review of our whole quality management system. And what's risk management? And what's the relation with internal audit and risk management? As you know, risk-based approach is very important for ISO 9001. So in risk management, internal audits are very critical for identifying and managing risks within the organization. While you are conducting internal audits, you will identify different risks and you will review your whole process. So you will be sure everything is fine. By identifying potential risks and taking necessary actions to mitigate or eliminate them, internal audits play a vital role. So that's why we have to conduct internal audits regularly. And mitigating risks enhance operational performance and reduce operational costs. Another important part of internal audit is internal auditor. We have to be sure we have competent internal auditors in place. So careful selection of internal auditors is essential to ensure the effectiveness and integrity of internal audits within the ISO 9001 framework. We need to have variety of auditors. Why? Because we will audit different departments, different operations within the organization. So we have to be sure our auditors are objective, impartiality, competent. So during selecting of auditors, it's very important to have different auditors because we will need to audit different departments, but I cannot audit my department. So we need different auditors for my department and different departments. Key attributes for internal auditors when selecting internal auditors are competence, impartiality, communication skills, and commitment to continuous improvement. While we are saying competence, we have to be sure our auditors are competent. They have training in place about this internal audit process. They know how can conduct internal audit. They know how will they write an internal audit report. They know how will they prepare an internal audit program. And when we are saying impartiality, they should be objective for this audit. They have to be from different departments, different people, and for example, if you are quality management representative of the organization, you cannot audit quality management part. So, because you don't have, you cannot be objective for that department. So we have to be sure objective. And communication skills. Good communication is one of the key parts of auditor, being an auditor. We have good communication skills, we need good communication skills, but it's not like you need to be friends with every department, you need to be friends with every auditee. It's not like that. But you need good communication skills and you have to communicate with auditors because you will ask so many questions and they need to trust you for being transparent to you. And investing in the development and training of internal auditors enhance their capabilities and strengthens the organization's quality management system. And external audits. We talk about internal audits, and now we will jump to the external audit part. And again, we can groupize the purpose of external audit in three different groups: independent review, certification, and again, improvements. What does it mean, independent review? We talk about internal audit and we said we need to conduct internal audits for our self-assessment. But now we are talking an independent review. External audits conducted by third parties and providing their objective perspective. This differs from internal audits and ensure impartial verification of standard compliance and qualified, competent, internal, independent, external auditors assess our organization's practice objectively and identify opportunities for improvement because it will be a new eye, because it will be different perspective. So it's very important to get this service from an accredited, competent company because we need to see our opportunities for improvement in here. During independent review, we may have different non-conformities. These are major non-conformity, minor non-conformity, observations, and opportunity for improvements. Major non-conformity means we are not doing totally one requirement of the standard. It means major non-conformity. And minor non-conformity means we are doing the requirements of the standard, but there are still some issues that we need to fix them. It's not affecting our whole quality management system directly, but still we need to work on it. And observation means like amber lights. Now it's not a non-conformity, but the auditor is saying to us, please be careful. It can be turned into a non-conformity in the next year's audit. We should be very careful about that, and we need to take action before the next audit. And while we are saying opportunities for improvement, as in here, opportunities for improvement are just recommendations from the lead auditor, from the auditor to the organization. Because these external auditors are seeing, like us, seeing so many different organizations, so many different best practices, so many different quality management system, and different size and different capacity in organizations. So this is a recommendation. You can take consideration into it or not. It's your choice as an auditee. but in generally, it will be good improvement area for your organization. And certification. As a result of these external audits, we need to get certified by the external certification body. External audits verify our compliance with ISO 9001 standards officially. That's why we need to work with accredited certification bodies. This demonstrates to customers and stakeholders and our suppliers that the quality management system, our quality management system, complies with the standards. And it means we are doing correctly this standard. Just internal audits are not adequate for improving this. And certification enhance the organization's competitive advantage and establish credibility in international markets. Since it's an international standard, it has value in every country. If you are saying we have 9001 standard in place, we have a quality management system in place, it means you are having this certification in the UK, in Turkey, in German, everywhere. So it's very important to get this certification for competitive advantage. And again, improvements. External audits provide an opportunity to identify our weakness, and we can get improvements opportunities within our organization. And we will have an external audit report at the end of the result, at the end of the audit as a result of that audit. And this feedback directs to organizations' continuous improvement efforts. And sometimes while we are doing our own job, we can miss something, but this external certification will help us to identify these risks, these areas, these non-conformities. And external audits offer strategic recommendations to enhance performance and expedite the improvements process. And we talk about certification bodies again and again. We talk about we need to work with a certification body for our certification process. And what do we need for these certification bodies? First of all, accreditation, as I mentioned to you. We have to be ensured that the certification body is accredited by a recognized accreditation body. It can be UCAS, it can be IAS, it can be different accreditations, but we have to be sure the certification company has relevant accreditation. And this accreditation demonstrates the certification body's competence and compliance with international standards for certification bodies. And reputation and experience. Since these certification bodies are working with so many different industries, so many different companies, consider the certification body's reputation and experience in certifying organizations within your industry or your sector. It's important to have competent certification body and actually auditor in your industry. And auditor competence. Assess the competence and qualifications of the auditors employed by this certification body. While certification bodies selecting their auditors, they are identifying, they are actually assessing different kind of things. Our audit days, our experience in which industries. So you have to be sure the certification body assigned you a competent auditor for your industry, for your organization's capacity, and this kind of thing. So ensure that they have the necessary skills, knowledge, and experience to effectively audit your organization's quality management system. The other thing, cost and value. Cost, as all of we know, cost is an important factor for prioritizing value and the quality of service provided. Consider the long-term benefits of certification beyond the initial cost because it's not just one-time shot. This is a long journey. First, after your first choice, sure, you can change your certification body if you want, but this is like a 3 years period. Certification, surveillance, and then recertification. So cost is very important, but please consider the long-term benefits as well. It's not just a cost approach. And global recognition. As I mentioned to you, this is an international standard, but international recognition will enhance your credibility, your certification, and facilitates business transactions across borders. So, working with global certification bodies will help you for global recognition and customer support. They are auditing you, so you are auditees for all certification bodies. But in addition to these, we are still customers for them. And during this period, we will need so many support, planning an audit, getting the report, getting the certification. If we have any non-conformity, closing these NCRs. So still, this long period, we will need support from the customer support. So we need to choose a certification body that offers reliable support throughout the certification process and beyond. So we have to be sure we will get the support if we need anything during this period. And now I would like to hear your questions, and I will check my chat if you have any question. If you have any question, you can write in the chat part, and then I will send the link of the certification. Again, I would like to say something in a summary, as a summary. Internal audit process can be outsourced, don't forget it, and it should be different auditors for different departments. We need to evidence like audit program, audit report, NCRs if we have, and external audits need a, an outsourced certification body. We need an accredited certification company for getting this certification. We need to be careful about accreditation, global recognition, surely cost and the value, and competent auditors. So this is the summary of our topic today, and we have to complete at least once a year all departments internal audits for the requirements of the standard. I think we have a question. Yes. Does external audit means when a company audits their suppliers? No, thank you for this question. External audit means an independent certification body is auditing us. If you are auditing your suppliers, it means supplier audit. It's not external audit. External audit means a certification body is auditing your organization for your ISO 9001 certification. Hopefully, it makes sense. What's the time period between stage 1 audit and stage 2 audit? Thank you for this question as well. This is very important. Thank you for reminding this to me. Stage 1 audit and stage 2 audits. Actually, the time difference, these two stages, it totally depends on you. If you are getting a yes after the stage 1 audit, let's talk about stage 1 and stage 2 actually. Stage 1 audit means like a procedures review. We will be sure you have written procedures in place, you have an internal audit process in place, you have a management review process in place. And then we will say you are ready for your stage 2 audit. And stage 2 will be the real audit. It's not just a document review. Stage 2 will be audit. But if you are getting a yes, you can get your certification stage 2 audit like 3 days later. But if you are not ready for stage 2 audit, it will take some time to prepare these gaps before stage 2 audits, because the auditor will decide if you are ready or not ready for stage 2 audit. Time during of external audits. I couldn't understand question. Ma'am, time during of external audit. Could you please rewrite those questions during of external audit? Do internal auditors need to be qualified? Yes, they need to be competent for internal audits. They need to train about these requirements of the standard. They need to be trained about what kind of documents they need, how will they prepare checklist, what kind of questions they will ask. So they should be competent for internal audits. So we have to be sure our auditors are correct people for internal audits. You can you can get some trainings. You know, there are so many internal auditor trainings. You can get some awareness trainings about 9001. But yes, the internal auditor should be qualified, should be competent for this standard and this internal audit. Ma'am, Tayaba, ma'am, time during of external audit. If you are asking about the duration of external audit, I couldn't understand question, but if you are talking about duration of external audit, this totally depends on the organization scope, organization number of employees, shifts, different things. But the certification body will calculate based on different critic points. They will calculate your audit days and they will give you these days in your quotation. Noteworthy efforts. What is meant by noteworthy efforts? I couldn't understand the question again. Noteworthy efforts. I didn't say noteworthy efforts, but we talk about competence and records. Do you mean that? Yes. What are the minimum ISO procedures required for a company's QMS? Actually, if we were talking this before the latest version of 9001, we might have a list for this minimum documents like quality manual, purchasing procedure, document control procedure. But now the standard changed, as you know, 2015. And the standard is not saying you have to have procedures for these different things. Just the standard is needs to be sure about you have process in place. So there's no list like you need to written procedure like that. You can choose process flow charts, you can choose written procedures. There's not a list, but if we are talking in general, not mandatory by the standard, I'm highlighting this again and again, but quality manual will be your guidance during this journey. It's very important because you will summarize your whole activities based on the standards requirements, based on the standard titles. And for example, document control. How do you prepare your documents? How do you creating them? How do you updating them? I think, this is my recommendation. This is my personal idea. I think it's the best way to show that you have a process in place is written documents, maybe flow charts, maybe procedures. Since there's a not mandatory list, but I recommend you document control, quality manual, purchasing procedure, if you have a design and development process, this is another thing, because this is a common, not applicable part for so many companies. But if you have a design and development process in place, you have to identify what kind of inputs do you need, what kind of outputs do you have. So there is not a list, but I strongly recommend you quality manual, document control, purchasing process, and you have to summarize your whole process, actually, operational process, calibration. What's meant by surveillance audit? Another good question. Surveillance audit means annual review audits. You are starting with a certification audit, and this will be your first audit. And after that, you will get your certification. But every year, the certification body will be sure that you are still complying with the standards. So, first year, certification audit. The next year, it means surveillance audit. And the second year, it means the second surveillance audit. And after this 3-year period, certification, surveillance one, surveillance two, we will go back to the recertification. How do I prepare an ISO checklist? Okay, this is another important question, because so many organization is confusing about that. First of all, you have to have awareness about ISO 9001. And please don't forget, you are checking ISO 9001 and your own requirements. So you will prepare a checklist based on ISO 9001 title and your organization requirements. For example, ISO 9001 clause 5.2 means leadership and commitment, quality policy. Clause 5 is leadership and commitment, and 5.2 is about quality policy. In here, what kind of question can you ask? Can I see your quality policy? Is it approved by the CEO, the managing director of the organization? Is it reviewed regularly? Did you share it with your stakeholders? This kind of question. So we are going back to another question. Should internal auditors be competent? Yes, 100%. The internal auditors be competent for the standard and the requirements of the standards. I think I answered most of them. Just a second. After an internal audit and proper documentation, when you can call external auditors after 1 year or 6 months. After an internal audit is just one of the requirements of the standard. It's not the latest thing. So you have to be sure your management review in place as well. So after you complete the internal audit, your management review, you can call the external auditors like 3 days later as well. It totally depends on you. For example, it's my recommendation again. If you identify so many non-conformities during your internal audit, it means you are not so ready for this external certification. So maybe you can wait for a while to complete the other non-conformities and to be sure that you are ready. But please don't forget, internal audit just one of the requirements. Don't forget the management review. Don't forget the risk register. But for example, while you are doing internal audit, if you didn't assess your risks, you will identify it. And this is a big process. This is a important requirement of the standard. So you cannot be ready for external certification audit because it will be a major non-conformity. So this depends on you. But after the internal audits, you can assess the situation based on your non-conformities, based on your organizational general awareness, and this kind of things. Yes, I think we answered all the questions for now. What is the time periods of recertification audits? 3 years period. Every 3 years, you need to get recertification audit again. Yes. Do we have any other question? I will wait for a couple of minutes and I'm sending the certification link. Please get the exam and get your certification as well for this webinar. I think we answered all the questions. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. Hope to see you again. And thank you. Have a good rest of the day.